Hello, beautiful angels. Hello from Mount Shasta. Hello to everyone around this beautiful planet within this beautiful galaxy. We are always expanding to more and more. And as we expand to more and more, we actually embody togetherness and real togetherness. And it's good to give it many different names because we are all children of our Mother, Father, God. And I don't say it as because someone told me, but because I've seen it. And it's very different when you see it. Once you see it, it changes you. And so the path that I'm sharing here always is the path of self-realization. That means whatever I say is what I saw. I don't want you to believe it. But when we work with Orin, that is the path I have taken very intensely the last many decades. And it led to these incredible, it's even hard to call it experience, but it is really self-realization in which the self dissolves and we become oneself. And so this is one of the paths. Of course, we have many, but this is so effective and I know it leads to greatness. And so that's why I share it with so much passion, because it's easy. It's not difficult, as you know, to listen to one Orin a day. And so this is our soul medicine, one Orin a day. And that's what it does. And you know, when I used to do this with my friends, I was living in Frankfurt, living in Berlin, and I would always ask my friends, do you guys want to meditate with me? And so we would meet together after we worked, you know, the day. So after work, we would meet at someone's house, usually my house, and we would just listen to one Orin. And we listened to one Orin and we did it every single day. And I saw the transformations. And usually it was like 6 months was a breakthrough, 6 months of daily Orin. And we also did the light body with Daben, and it was amazing. And it was amazing as groups, you know, physically to see each other's incredible openings and transformations and leading to so much greatness. So to me, you know, it's a proven path that leads to self-realization. And the fun thing about self-realization, I do actually think that it should not even be called self-realization. It means, yes, you do it yourself, but once you do it yourself, you realize you don't really have a self, and you are a divine self, and so is everyone else. And so we are all looking at each other. And when we see the truth of who we are, there is only one self. Maybe, you know, Patricia calls it the cosmic I am. And so here in the picture, you see it. And so you see who we are, every single one of us, the same divinity, the same eternal self. That's the one. And it is the oneness, the unity. You know, everybody says unity consciousness these days. It's nice to find new ways to describe it. Otherwise, we just repeat the same stuff. And so, you know, togetherness. It's so nice. You know, Yogananda, my inner teacher, he always taught that our evolution is meant to be evolution into more of planetary consciousness, to be one nation, and to realize we belong to one globe, one little piece of clay, he called it, piece of clay, imagine, within the galaxy. And so he said, first, humans need to start perceiving themselves truly as one family, one nation under God. I love it. Again, and the goddess, right? And so we are really one cosmic nation under the goddess and the God. And there are many other gods that were created by Divine Mother. And this is what I've been sharing lately. My new experience with Shiva and Shakti is that there are layers within creation. And so Patricia Coda-Robles calls it the company of heaven. And it really looks more like a hierarchy of different beings, and they are all one. And yet you could see the Buddhas, you can see the Taras, you can see the Egyptian, what we call Egyptian beings. You can see these cosmic beings that we associate with Hinduism. And yet it actually is all cosmos, cosmic beings. To me, that's like mind opening, you know, so liberation. And so within this, we have beings who already are really big beings. They are so unbelievably large. They, you know, their multidimensional self is like so huge. They can support others. And this is a support system when you think about it. So within this very large field of creation, we have smaller beings and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's funny because it doesn't matter like the size of a being, really. It's just our, let's call it divine ambition to become as big as possible, to become a holy soul, one way to describe it, to actually embody all divinity that you possibly can wherever you are. I've seen this in all the different dimensions that I traveled in, is always the same, actually, ambition to be the greatest you can be. And I know all of you have that ambition, because you would not be here doing meditations, you would not be doing what you do. Again, it's the divine ambition is written into our true cosmic heart. And we do have a cosmic heart. And this cosmic heart is really our design in these very high dimensions where we no longer actually have a body. So this picture doesn't really depict it as well, because it still shows a human body. But when we go higher and higher beyond the limitation of time and space, we come to a place where we simply are a bright light. And so you could see, like when you zoom in the middle, the bright light, we become the bright light, we become stars within creation. And it all has to do with our true heart, which is the eternal heart of the divine self. And that keeps growing and growing and growing. The thing is that if we were always in this oneness, and if we were always in just that light of oneness, and we had no experiences, we could not actually grow. We could not become bigger. And so we designed this game of life, of course, with, Mother, Father, God, and we are having experiences. And some people would say, and, the yogis called it too, all these experiences are not real. And yet they are happening. And they are happening so that we can show up, so that we can actually see our own self in response to the worlds we live in. And I've seen in higher dimensions what we do, is the same thing we do here. We have this big ambition to always be the greatest we can be. And when we reach the greatness we thought that we were capable of, we actually push beyond the limits and want more greatness. And not for the self, but to glorify creation. And this is really important. Our true desire actually is to glorify creation. And so religions called it many different names, but it actually is that we realize who we are, what we are capable of. We realize that it is not about us, and yet we are in it. And if we are in it, we say, you know what, since this is the design of the game, of course, I want to go to the top, to the top, to the top, to the top. And of course, the top keeps moving and it just is endless creation. And so the joy of becoming a bigger divine soul that can assist many others to get the game of life. So I used to go to these schools of learning in higher dimensions. We also might have so many multidimensional realities. And I always, when I speak about this, hopefully it comes across as something very grounded and practical. I don't want it to really sound like fantasy, but I know that unless we get to experience it ourselves, it might sound like imagination and fantasy. But I want to say it's pretty real, and it is so real. And I must admit, the more I see, the more I travel, to these dimensions, the more kind of also, I'm going to call it, completely confused I am about it all, because the certainty goes away. And it's like, whoa, this is bigger than life. This is bigger than I can ever comprehend. I don't understand it at all anymore. But at the beginning of your journey, let's say you just start on your journey, and the first being you meet is an angel. And it's an angel, and you're meditating, and suddenly someone, knocks on your shoulder, and you open your eyes, and there is this beautiful divine angel being standing next to you. And to me, that's a breakthrough experience, right? It's such a wonderful, simple experience. And it's like, oh, that's so simple. Angels exist. And here I am, human being. I've been meditating for months. And finally, here I have this divine encounter. Ah, this is what it must be all about. And so then, you show up and you show up and you show up, and the angel is like, well, you seem to be reliable, let me bring more of us to you. And so then the angel says, okay, this human here is reaching up, let's bring all of us. And so suddenly, one day you are surrounded by all these beings. And this is actually a true story. I'm just trying to, always dig in the history of this path of self-realization. For me, it did start with angelic beings. And so, I got used to them. I had so much fun with them. And, I would, for example, like the things that can happen in this reality. Oh my gosh, it's so physical then, they come physically to you, of course. And when they see that you're not scared, and when they see that you are open to these divine encounters, they also don't want to violate, your status quo. If that's a good way maybe to call it, I don't know. But they don't want to just shock us. They don't want to scare us. It should be beneficial. And so once we get used to working with the angelic queendom, they expand us to the next thing. And for me, the next thing was definitely star beings. And so I started to have visitations from star beings, mainly from Arcturus. And again, it's just science fiction, but it is true. It happens to us, of course. Yeah, and for some people, it's just different order, of course. And then the next thing was Yogananda, the big master being. And the next thing was divine source. And the next thing was divine mother. And the next thing that's just so recent to me is actually Shiva. And so, there is a pathway within us. And if we just show up, everything starts to be unveiled. But I want to say, once you get to this level where you are right now, you already see so much, know so much. I lose complete certainty in my own understanding of it. And I just tell these stories so that we have some kind of puzzle pieces here. And then it will be up to us, of course, to make sense of it all, if at all it's possible. I don't know. I actually don't think that, yes, I get overwhelmed with it too. I have mornings where I do my practices and I connect to it, and I go like, wow, this is bigger than I can possibly comprehend. I'm so overwhelmed by it all. I have to do something really simple. I just have to sit outside and just do my breathing. I just can't take this multidimensional reality. And that's so funny because it is big. It's so big. And then you think, but at the same time, we are so small here. And this world seems so it's like you wake up in the morning, you do your stuff. And then some people just go to work and they believe that that's what it's all about. And then there's such a big contrast, right? It's a big contrast between the multidimensional reality and this reality here. And so it's good to go through the motions. And to me, again, I just shared the path that I took, which is the path of Orin, which led to all of this. And so, yeah, that's a fire angel. That's a great question. What kind of cardio do you do? I like it. I find exercising really actually important sometimes, just to be in the body, and to do Zumba is wonderful. Love Zumba. And you can find so many things on YouTube. I love doing stuff on YouTube like Pilates and stuff, hopping around, and that is helpful to taking care of all that you are, of course, and to be distributing this energy into all directions, and again following your body, Deva, what she tells you. And so this togetherness, why is this togetherness so important? So Divine Mother thinks of all her children, which we are, as instruments, and I mean musical instruments. And so together we should be a beautiful orchestra of planetary music. So we always speak about the music of the spheres. And when you actually go into your soul body, which is the path that Yogananda taught us, you will actually go through a field of music within yourself, but it seems to be all around you. So people who got to experience the music, it is like you come out of body and there is music, 360 degrees all around you. And the music is absolutely unbelievable. And it changes. It's different music that you can enter. So some people call it the soul song, but it seems to me like there are many. And so when you go into the soul body, you get to hear your music, and you get to hear the music of creation, and you want to be attuned to that music. And so if a human being is not in love with life, the human being is an instrument out of tune. And so on this planet, we have so many instruments out of tune. And that also then planet Earth, right? Because we are a collective attached to the Earth, then became also a planet that was out of tune. And when we are out of tune, we want to find synchronization. So the synchronization obviously starts with you and me synchronizing our own being with our own divine heart. And I say it's a shortcut, always focusing on the divine heart, your own divine heart. You know, sometimes we look outside of ourselves for stuff, but the shortcut is within. It's one breath away into the heart, opening the heart, loving life. Loving life is actually a condition that creates harmony within us. And so it's very, very simple. The question is, am I out of tune or am I attuned? So attuned to love, that is the one attunement that actually opens everything. It opens our multidimensional realities. And it's the most precious thing that we can actually think about and really take care of is, are we attuned to our own sacred heart? And we can give it many names, but there is a state of love that exists within the divine self. And that state of love is actually completely, let's call it unconditional, but again, it's just the word that has been recycled here so much. And so let's call it something else. Within the divine self is eternal love that is unchanging. This love is love for no reason. So it doesn't look for a reason to love. It simply is love. And so you could say it doesn't search for conditions to love. It simply is love. And so when we find this, when we find that love within, we realize that it's always been there, and it's not something that we have produced. It's not something that we have generated. It's nothing to do with the self. Actually, it is the eternal love that is the divine love that exists in all things. Because Divine Mother creates out of love. What else would she do, right? Imagine Divine Mother in a bad mood creating something not out of love. That doesn't happen. But here on this planet, it has happened. And so that's why we are going through this purification. We are going through immense purification of all that was created not out of love. It's very simple. The teachings of Divine Mother are always super, super simple. The question is always, is it love? Is it not love? Am I in tune with my loving heart? Am I out of tune with my loving heart? And every single one of us knows. And so we remove all the obstacles that are around the heart. Divine Mother, you know, she actually, sorry, I want to correct this. This was not Divine Mother who showed me this. It was actually my star grandmother from the Hopi people. And she is the one who came to me when I was like 4 years old. And she showed me how we need to crack the shell around the sacred heart open. And she said, in this lifetime, we're going to do it. So in this lifetime, we are cracking the shell. And what is in the shell that was surrounding the sacred heart? It was so much stuff, right? But it's not just our stuff. It was actually also all the things that happened to Mother Earth, all the things that happened to Mother Nature. You know, when we shut our hearts, it's a really long time ago. It's not just in this lifetime. And Patricia talks about that as well. It's actually something that happened a very long time ago. And to me, the way I witnessed it, it was during the civilization of Mu. And so for those of us who have the memories of Mu, we know what happened and how unconsciousness shut the hearts. And so we are not only opening the heart of this human being in this lifetime, we are opening this really ancient heart within us. And that is the heart that loves life, loves all life and loves life, the cosmic life, the eternal life, the universal life, whatever you want to call it. And so we are now doing this cleansing here. And today, thanks to many of you who emailed me, you told me about this beautiful album with Oren and Deben. And so I bought it and I love it. It got me excited today when I listened to it in the morning. It is so beautiful, and it's working with the DEVAS. And it's working with many different DEVAS. And these, oh, I hear them now. Okay, because they also come and talk to you, of course. And so they are excited to be working with us. I'm going to send an email tomorrow with a link to this album for those of you who want to buy it. Again, I always recommend working with Orin every day, because the liberation is amazing. And what we are liberating, of course, is we are removing, as you know, the sediments that are around us that you can see here, so that the light of our divine self can shine through in a transparent way. Transparent way, right? That's what Yogananda was saying. Please, and let me always be transparent, to have no self-interest, to have no self-agenda. There is no room for that self. And so quite incredible things happen when we surrender to this. We simply become, one way is to call it, we become completely available to the divine to work through us and to move us. And that's the thing. Divine Mother, she told me she wants to move us, and not only physically, she does want to move us physically. She does want to move in us. She's, to me, Divine Mother is very restless, by the way, because she's in all of nature, and nature to me is constant motion. But she also wants to move us as kind of the emotion of love, the feeling of love, the state of love. And so she's the inspiration within us. She really is. She inspires from within the next. And usually the next is always some kind of service, some kind of expression of gratitude, of our love. An expression of love to her is like worth, trillions, put it into human terms. When we express love, now that's, how we become an expression of Divine Mother in this world. We become an expression of love. So how we do it, it doesn't matter. It could be an expression where you paint a painting. That's your expression of love. It could be where you go and serve others. It could be where you are constantly giving of yourself to this world in most selfless ways without any self-interest, and so on and so on and so on. Whatever that self-expression of love is within you, that is the right thing. Very often it's caring for nature. That's one of the things Divine Mother really, really emphasizes, is how do we care for nature? Because she is in it. She's all of it. She's all of nature. So when she sees that you go and pick trash, she's like, whoa, you care. And even though you think it's a very small act of love, it is big to her. When you are, an environmentalist, she loves for all of us to be that, to care deeply. Sometimes there's the temptation to buy, the bigger, the better. And she's like, well, do you really need it? Or can you save some, stuff and materials and instead, be simple, be humble, whatever. And so you will find that she will invite you to be the greatest version of your own divine being, which is always love. So it's very simple. Once again, very simple teachings of Divine Mother is to be expressing love. And so we will be working with this glorious, glorious transmission. And it's beautiful, Esther. I love that you inspire your granddaughter to be also caring. I inspire my own children as well to always, connect with nature and to pay attention to how precious she is. Because, there are also people in this world and they think we can do without her. But actually, humanity would go insane without nature. And that's one of the things that is happening on planet Earth right now. We have a lot of people who have disconnected from nature and who never connect to her in this sacred way. And so she cannot really communicate through them, because she communicates through all of us every single day. Now, to understand the vastness of our cosmic mother, she is the mother of not only us here, but she's the mother of the earth. She's the mother of the solar system. She's the mother of the universe. She's the mother of the galaxy. And so, if we understand how intelligent, for example, a flower is, one little flower, and you can do meditation with that. When you meditate with one flower, you realize, oh my gosh, there's so much intelligence working through this flower. How did the flower come into being? How does the seed know when to sprout? What is the soil doing? What is the element of water doing? This is intelligence at its best. And that's just tiny little flower. Now, the same thing, and I always mention Divine Mother says that a galaxy is a flower to her. That's how big she is. When she sees a galaxy, she's looking at a flower. And so we have so many shapes of galaxies. And so I want to say this, that it's going to be the last thing before we go into meditation. So Divine Mother creates everything out of her own body. In a way, you would call her the Deva, the ultimate Deva, the Devi, the mother. She's often called Devi. From her body, she creates all form. And so when she creates a galaxy, the galaxy becomes its own being, and it is actually a feminine presence. It always is. And it is a Deva of a galaxy. When she creates a flower, she puts herself into that flower too. And, you know, some people call it Shakti, but even that is a Deva. So every flower, every tree, every rock, every river, every lake, every ocean, everything has a Deva within the form. That's why you and me have a body Deva. Our body too is a creation. So since everything is intelligent, of course, then there is huge intelligence embodied in our galaxy. And I'm just looking at our galaxy. So if there is, let's say, a place within the galaxy that is actually out of balance, like planet Earth, then the galaxy herself is a body. She is a body, and this body is going through a self-healing process. Just like your body, when you have a wound, the body will do whatever it takes to heal the wound. The same thing has happened within our galaxy. So because there is this disease that has spread through some worlds, but we are so familiar here on planet Earth, the out of balance, then the galaxy is sending something amazing. It's plasma. I've been seeing this, you know, for a long time. There's plasma coming to us from the galactic core. And imagine this incredible intervention that is coming. It's like sending white cells, you know, to fight the disease. And the galactic core is 26,000 years away from us. Think about that. When plasma of light is sent to us from the galactic core, then it takes 26,000 years to travel to us. And what does that make? We've heard this number before, of course, you know, the teachings of Sri Yukteswar. And so 26,000 years ago, something was sent to us that is now coming into this world. The first thing that it will do, it will actually affect our sun. So our sun, as part of this solar system, as part of this galaxy, will receive the plasma from the galactic core. This is part of our ascension process. And so the sun, from what I can see, will wobble and will emanate its own plasma. And this plasma will come to us and it will be changing us. It's happening already with all the solar flares that we have, but I see that we're going to have more and more intensity. And so it's healing. We are healing our world. It's pretty amazing. And so with that, my friends, let us do this meditation. We're going to be working with the Devas. Again, in all form is the Deva. And we will want to be inviting the highest of the highest, these beautiful beings into into our auric field so that we are radiant. And so I'll pause the recording as always, and I encourage. So I'm sure that we all who love working with Oren really enjoyed this. It is also very similar to what we have been working with, where the Devas work with us, where we do the violet flame. So this album is amazing. We're going to be working with the same track tomorrow again, because we want to go really deep. I always recommend doing every journey with Oren 7 times, and ideally 7 times in a row. And so I wanted to mention about the schools of learning where I used to go to higher dimensions with many of you, of course, you know, and we all go to schools of learning. And one of the big lessons that was actually a huge initiation for all of us students in this higher school of learning was actually figuring out that it is all about light. And what I learned from these beings who are teaching us is that every single human and every single being must actually realize it for themselves and to start choosing the light of love, love of light, and the light of consciousness consciousness of love. And so there was no way that anyone could do it for anyone else. Everyone had to do it themselves to come to that realization. And this was really important, actually. So, when we do this work, we get so much help, but we must be in the end the ones who flip the switch. And the flipping of the switch is actually an important event within us. And we say yes to love. We say yes to light. And so I'm going to close with a 3-minute video, which you might find fascinating. It is actually an animation of what happened within the galaxy. And this is just science. I always recommend the channel on YouTube called Suspicious Observers. Funny name, but Ben, he's very special, but he has like a special attitude. But he explains so beautifully everyday space weather from a very scientific point of view. But I find it, so beautiful, the animation. So here it is.
We are going to dive a little bit deeper right here into the story we had in the morning news 2 days ago. So the story was this: the X7 cloud that is near the galactic center is starting to distend as it comes closer to hitting the galactic core. And of course, the main part of the story is that they are expecting, quote, fireworks from the galactic center when this occurs. This, of course, refers to the potential for galactic center super flaring. Now, we have seen flaring even in the short time that we have been monitoring it astronomically, but it has been very low level flaring. There has been nothing major. This is along the same kind of theory as Dr. Paul Laviolette's galactic superwave theory. This is the kind of thing where we don't have any warning of when it happens. The actual particle burst doesn't actually ever get all the way out to the sun, but the light does. Now, of course, this actually happened about 26,000 years ago. That's how long it takes the light to get from the center of the universe, or center of the galaxy, all the way out to us. And so even though this happened a very long time ago, the light energy is already coming. Any super flaring that was due to the interaction between the X7 cloud and the galactic core has already taken place, and that light would be on its way to us. They estimate that that light is going to get here at some point in the next decade. The only real question is, how bad is it going to be? How big is it going to be? If you are at all familiar with Dr. Laviolette's superwave theory, it could be anything from something that is just scientifically detectable and interesting to something that is absolutely cataclysmic. That amount of light energy could have phenomenal impacts on the planets. It could have a phenomenal impact on the sun itself, including triggering very extreme states of activity. And it's just very hard to tell. Essentially, we always kind of knew this was a possibility. We knew that there were several gas clouds that were close to the center of Sagittarius A, which is what they call the center of our galaxy. But now we have definitive proof after them watching this gas cloud move towards it and then start to distend a little bit, that at some point in the next decade, maybe as many as 12 or 13 years, we are going to start to see those fireworks from the galactic center. And so, as if we don't have enough to worry about culturally.
And that's very much what I wanted to show you guys, because of the animation and because of what I know that is coming. And, we all can see it when we look into the ethers. This is very remarkable as the good thing. This is amazing. It is. And you can see it as moving. It's plasma. And so this is the galaxy, healing herself from unconsciousness. Not to worry at all. This is all good, all good. Plus, we are eternal beings, of course. And so one of the things I wanted to tell you before we close is, whatever you're doing now, you are investing constantly into your next journey, wherever you embody next. This is a mission you took on. But the next mission depends on all that you build up in yourself now. What you put in your light body now will determine how magnetic you are to your next mission. To me, the biggest investment is every day now, because, when you go out of body, you are magnetically pulled to your next destination or destiny. Your destiny is written into your field. And so imagine you do a little bit of Orion every day. well, you're building up an amazing magnetic field of light that will pull you into beautiful worlds once you are done here with this mission. Yeah. Yeah, the 26,000 years, isn't it? Very fascinating. You know, Yogananda talked about it. Also, the yogis could see it all with that third eye, of course. You know, his guru, Sri Yukteswar, he wrote a book about it called The Holy Science. Very hard to understand the holy science. It was written in like 1800s. So, and so here we go. Yes, beautiful stuff. So this is a big investment into our adventure, which is always our next destination. So thank you so much. Tomorrow we will have 2 calls, one at 11 a.m., one at 5 p.m. Pacific as usual. And I will send an email with a link to the album we'll be working with. So thank you so much. Bye.